Hey everyone, and welcome back to another review, and this time for Clash Artifacts Chaos on the PC using a Steam key. Starting with the story of Clash and the beginning of the weirdness of this game, you end up rescuing a small bird-like creature after its grandpa was killed by some large dickhead of a bully. You then begrudgingly take it under your wing, so to speak, and adopt it as you try to find it a new home. And by all accounts, any home will do, just to get rid of this talking featherball. Gameplay for Clash is definitely coming from the Souls-like genre, but with more old-school, cel-shaded look to it. Wandering around the world felt okay, but unlike some other Souls games, Clash looks very open. And this means loads of invisible walls rather than actual walls of dungeons and the like. This unfortunately makes it feel rather odd at times, confusing to navigate, and even worse, it's all done through area transitions or biomes, which felt really odd coming across and really throws you out of the feel of the game. Chests are scattered throughout the landscape if you could be asked to go looking for them, although the majority of them are actually on show. Although if you are one of them that enjoy collecting everything in all areas, then ingredients to cook with may be your bag. Mix them up, try new combos, and you may get more than just a healing vial for your troubles. And there are areas for doing these things. And from these areas you can save the game, cook as mentioned, and even attempt to sleep, as there's even nighttime to consider, and yes, you can rest and sleep straight through these. Although sleeping does have the added advantage of filling up any empty vials with water to give a little healing potion, I suppose, just in case you can't find any ingredients in the areas. And although this was a really good idea and I did actually appreciate the way these vials worked, it did slightly piss me off within the battles though. As within battle, it takes a while to actually drink one of these, which means that your enemy is still attacking you. So this means that anytime you have fast enemies, or indeed multiple enemies, it means that you 9 out of 10 times can't drink your vial and have to wait until after the battle to ingest them, which is kind of useless. And this brings me rather nicely around to the combat. Combat is done via different styles like boxing, slashing and spearing, and to be honest, I never felt the need to mix any of these up, or to indeed change the one that I picked from the beginning to try different styles. In addition to this, you can even dodge attacks, and timed right and correctly, these attacks can be used to actually create combos and counter attacks. There's even a charge counter that gives a more powerful mode that sends you into a first person perspective, which I have to admit felt a little jarring and clunky to use, and the fact you have to press C to actually use it was not fun to perform. And yes, as pretty standard to these sort of games, there are light attacks and you can mix it up in order to make more combos. Guarding yourself can be done with the guard stance, and this takes up stamina and protects you from some, not all, damage. I felt jumping within this game felt really weird at times, and it's best to be used whilst actually standing if you wish to actually pinpoint actual jumps that actually get you somewhere. That's pretty standard for a lot of these Soul games. If you die, you must go back for your body, and dying in this mode yields a game over. So picking your battles within this part is pretty crucial to your survival. Adding to all the battle, there is a really odd game that can be played to get an advantage over your opponents, but only with intelligent enemies, although the AI isn't that intelligent, so there should have been no enemies. And I'll admit now that I just did not get it, or even why it was in the game. So the game's played on a circle piece of cloth, so you throw some dice, the highest wins. And then you got these other things that you can mod the dice to change the outcome, i.e. turn a 6 to a 1 or 1 to a 6, and therefore screwing your opponent over, giving you the advantage, although they can do the same to you. Luckily enough, you don't have to always do these games, and unfortunately it does split the battling up a little bit, as in having this menu pop up saying, do you want to do this or not? Kind of like spoils the pace. Although all this killing isn't for nothing, you actually gain XP, and with said XP you can upgrade your character as you go along your ways. Putting your stats up felt rather easy and was mainly so you can do more damage or take more damage, but after playing for a while I started not to really care so much and just clicked whatever. Okay, let me explain that. It's not a terrible game, it's just that it doesn't do enough to warrant me wanting to complete it. Nothing really gripped me to the extent that I felt engrossed within the game. It felt way too linear, and I know that's kind of the nature of this sort of game, but it should not feel that way. There was even shopkeepers scattered around where you can buy weapons and armour, and even armour for little baby Furby. But even with all of this, it kind of felt flat and lifeless, which was so ironic as the game was voiced, and to my mind, rather well. I think it also lacked any tension you got from some other Souls games. It was so bright and happy, and I think this ripped from the tension of the game. Getting lost definitely didn't help the pacing of the game due to things feeling similar, and those invisible walls was not helping matters any. The enemies did have a little bit of variety within them, however, but didn't seem to have any continuity to offing them. Some felt stupidly easy and some felt rather difficult. This is obviously to be expected, but whilst locking onto creatures, they sometimes wanted to go and do their own thing, kind of almost ignoring you in a way. And all this felt a bit of a chore whilst using your weapon or your fist shifting to the C button for that charged first person attack. It all felt like it should have been amazing, these battles, but kind of like just lacked somehow. The score. In short, as I said, it's not the worst game I've played, but some decisions just annoyed me, and although it did look rather pretty, aside from the very interesting choice used for the main character, but even this had its drawbacks with the invisible walls and level transitions. Didn't help the immersion of the game. I will be awarding Clash Artifacts of Chaos a 5 out of 10, as I think they tried too hard to make something truly different, but lost their way in the translation, and I think the combat and mini-games suffered from this the most. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this review. I'd be honoured if you subscribe to the channel and also like this video. There's even a link to our Discord below. So take care out there, wherever you are, because life is better when we game together.